What's up, everybody? Bandit Chad here for another Taco Tuesday, and we have some really exciting news here from Toyota. Now, it looks like Truck Trend was talking with one of the CEOs of Toyota North America, and some interesting stuff came out last week in Detroit. They were asking about possibly a new vehicle from Toyota that would be a four-wheel drive model, but be a little bit smaller. You know, in the past, they have had, you know, the FJ40 was obviously one of the vehicles that really got Toyota started with their off-road lineup, but more recently we did have the FJ Cruiser, and some interesting stuff came out about that.
Right, so basically in the interview, the CEO of Toyota had said that, you know, there was kind of a missing spot now in the market, especially with the FJ Cruiser now gone. That was kind of a loyalist type vehicle. You know, they didn't really sell all that well because when you look at the vehicle, it was more an enthusiast type thing. It wasn't as utilitarian as it looked because of the weird clamshell doors, the horrible space in the rear and everything like that. So it's good that Toyota is at least acknowledging that there is kind of a missing spot in the lineup now.
Right, and we've seen a couple different ideas and teasers from Toyota in the past couple weeks. One being the FT AC, the Future Toyota Adventure concept, and the other one being the FT4X, which is, you know, the all-wheel drive one there. And both of those were kind of small and kind of in the RAV4 segment, and they weren't quite what us enthusiasts were after. You know, they were an adventure-rated concept, but we're really looking more into the, you know, true four-wheel drive, true body on frame, and you know, we want ground clearance. We're not just looking for something that can take us down a dirt road. We're looking for something that can navigate through rocks and everything else, and it actually looks like that's what Toyota's after. So they said that they're not going to go for all-wheel drive to make it a safer vehicle. They're going to stick with true four-wheel drive and with the body on frame for better ground clearance and everything else. And I think it's awesome that Toyota recognizes what their customers want. You know, this isn't going to sell, you know, a huge number of units. That's really what the rest of the lineup's for, but there is absolutely a missing link here. And with the rest of the lineup, you know, for off-road use, you have the Tacoma and the 4Runner, and both of those are relatively the same size. There is nothing smaller, and with the new JL Wrangler coming out, there's definitely a spot here in, you know, the market where Toyota's just not in anymore because they pulled out like the rest of the vehicles. You know, there is no Ford Bronco anymore that's, at least not yet, that is trail rated or you know, off-road capable or anything else, and it looks like Toyota finally recognizes that.
So in terms of where this potential future Toyota four-wheel drive vehicle would be slotted, would probably be even below the Tacoma, not size-wise, but pricing-wise. We don't know exactly the price. Obviously, this is a vehicle that isn't even named yet. There's just been these concepts for it. But there is a quote that came from the CEO who had said, "There's room on the lower end in terms of price or authenticity for an off-road frame-based SUV." So a lower price, I mean, the Tacoma is pretty competitively priced, but we think that this may even be below that in terms of just what it is. We're not exactly sure if there's going to be a luxury model or anything like that, but it's more an off-road, outdoorsy based vehicle, kind of similar to the FJ that they're going to replace.
Right, and the thing that really gets me excited about it is it sounds like they're really going to take a utilitarian approach, and they're not making it to, you know, like we mentioned before, they're not making it to sell to the masses. They're making it as a true enthusiast vehicle. And another quote that he had on there was talking about how that, you know, there are a lot of good Toyota SUVs and trucks that are good for off-road. You know, the Tacoma and the 4Runner are great, but ultimately they do still have longer wheelbases. They're looking like they may shoot for a shorter wheelbase to make it more nimble off-road and everything else, which really the only thing, again, in this segment is a two-door Wrangler, and, you know, really everyone else pulled out because of fuel economy regulations, the CAFE regulations, and everything else. So if we could get something more or less Wrangler sized, maybe FJ Cruiser sized or just slightly below that, I think it would hit a home run. I mean, look at how well, you know, the Bronco 2 sold, the Scout 2s for that matter, and a lot of those older vehicles there in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even up into the 90s, you know, we had a lot of awesome two-door off-road SUVs, and now the Wrangler is the only one. And it looks like finally Toyota's figuring that out, and it might actually bring it back. So I'm super excited about this. This is something that I've been interested in for a long, long time. Personally, the FJ Cruiser didn't do it for me because it was just a little bit too big. And I mean, I think the retro styling is cool, but if it takes away the usability of the vehicle, it's not really all that worth it. You know, I think the way the Wrangler is designed, where it has a couple little heritage cues, but overall it's built around its design, I think that's really, really important. You know, the FJ Cruiser had poor visibility, and as a result of that, it didn't sell very well, because when you have poor visibility and it's not very usable, you know, it's not really all that compelling of a vehicle. So hopefully they can work out a couple of those things and bring us an awesome four-wheel drive SUV back to the market here in America. So another thing we saw there in Detroit was the new Toyota Avalon. Now, the Avalon is still a little bit larger than the Camry, but finally it's taking on a little bit more excitement. So as we talked about before, the Avalon was kind of marketed towards an older clientele, and was more of a luxury SUV, or luxury sedan rather. And as the luxury sedan is dying, it looks like Toyota is trying to adapt to that by making it more, you know, tech friendly, let's call it, and a little bit more exciting. So it does have a lot of the same more exciting styling cues that we saw there with the Camry, but some of the tech features here are actually really interesting. So you are still going to get two different engine options, the 3.5 liter V6 like we have here in our Tacomas, and also still the 4-cylinder hybrid like they had before. But now on the interior, you're going to see a big change here from Toyota, and they're actually going to offer a 9-inch touchscreen now, and that's going to have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So this is the first product of Toyota that actually will have both of these features. You know, normally they just rely on their in-tune radio, exactly, instead of having those. But it looks like finally enough people have kicked, begged, and pleaded, and we're finally going to get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now, I'm sure that eventually this will trickle down into the rest of the lineup, and eventually I'm sure we'll see them on our Tacomas. But this is the starting point for that. And another thing that's a little bit interesting here is with the whole digital assistant and everything like that, like Google and like Siri and like everything else, Toyota is actually going to incorporate Amazon Alexa into their vehicles. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work, but more than likely it's going to do more than just order products online for you as you're driving down the road. You know, whether that'll be, you know, make reservations at restaurants that you like or whatever else, all that remains to be seen, but this is, as far as I know, the first use of Amazon Alexa in a vehicle as well.
Right, so there is another vehicle that we want to talk about, and that is the 2019 Jeep Cherokee. Now, the big thing that you will probably notice with this is that it now looks much more like the rest of the lineup, whereas the Cherokee, when it was redesigned a couple years back, it did not look like a Jeep at all. It looked very, very foreign. It just did not really fit in with the lineup, other than the fact that it said Jeep, had a four-wheel drive system, and had that Jeep slotted grille that they're known for. So now it does look a lot more like a Grand Cherokee. Even
and the Compass.
And the Compass, too, because Jeep has definitely gone that same direction with a lot of their vehicles as far as styling goes, the design. And now the headlights, I think maybe that was one of the main gripes, that people thought it looked more like a snake in the front, kind of like maybe a Dodge Viper in a strange way, which it doesn't really belong in that, I guess, category anyways. But anyhow, yeah, so the vehicle just got a really nice refresh, and as well as some other engine choices as well, or at least one engine choice that's notable.
Right, and so they're carrying over the same Tiger Shark 4-cylinder and the Pentastar V6, but now you're going to be able to get a turbo 4-cylinder as well. And we're thinking this is the same thing that we were talking about in the past, that's going to be available there in the new Jeep Wrangler, but without all of the hybrid tech. So it's not going to have the e-torque system as far as we can tell. It is just a turbo 4-cylinder, and that'll probably be a little bit more expensive, obviously, but it should offer, you know, the power of the V6, but the fuel economy of the 4-cylinder. It should make a really nice option. You know, a lot of the other mid-size and compact SUVs and crossovers here do have forced induction, and I think this should be a really nice addition here from Jeep.
I agree.
Now, normally we do try to stay away from car topics. There's more than enough YouTube channels and news channels that cover cars. We do normally try to stick more in the SUVs, trucks, and four-wheel drive stuff. But there's one vehicle that does seem to keep coming up, and we want to give our 2 cents on it, and we actually have some new information coming about it. But it's actually the new Toyota Supra. Now, growing up when we did with the Fast and Furious movies and everything else, Supras are pretty cool, to say the least. But it looks like the new one is going to be designed with BMW. It is going to be more or less the new BMW Z5. So Toyota will get the coupe BMW will get the convertible, and there's going to be a range of engine options and everything else. But it looks like we might be seeing the first of the Supra here in Geneva in March at the Geneva Motor Show.
Right. So as far as the design of it goes, Toyota is going to have their own styling. It's going to differ from the BMW version, but it's going to have the same underpinnings, powertrain, as far as we know. And basically, you're going to have three options from what we can tell. You're going to have a lower end, less powerful turbocharged four-cylinder, then a mid engine choice that's going to be a little bit more powerful, still a turbocharged four-cylinder, and then you're going to have a top-of-the-line 3-liter inline six turbocharged, all the same stuff, and it is produced and manufactured by BMW. Now, these are some of the same powertrain options that you have, I guess, seen for years now. BMW has been known for using their, I believe it's called a twin power turbo inline engine, and the transmission, as far as I know, is some sort of manumatic or automated manual, one of those, like a Volkswagen Group DSG, basically. But we're not exactly sure on that. Manuals, we're not sure on that either. People are saying that, no, there's only going to be an automatic choice for this, which there very well could be. But we're not exactly sure. There have been multiple things that have come out and lots of theories, but there will be more that we will see and hear on that coming here in March.
Exactly right. So that pretty much wraps up everything we have to talk about for this week. Let us know in the comments what you think. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
Hey, Chad, what's on your shirt there?
Who, me? Oh, that's just, I don't know, just found it in my closet.